Jane. Okay, Jane Claybell. John O'Mara? No. Left two? Okay, Bill Wild. How about Mary Cleary? Mary? Mary Cleary? Come on down. And Camille Bernstein or Bernstein? Camille?
Yeah.
Come on down. Thank you. All right, Jane. Hello.
Okay. Hello, my name is Jane Claybell. I teach in one of our local districts here, Ashburnham, Westminster. I'm an 8th grade mathematics teacher. And I have been involved in education for many years, was on board when the first MCAS was administered, and now I'm working on PARCC. Our district last year took the field test in 8th grade math, and we have, we are in the middle of doing the online testing 3 through 8 in our district for PARCC. I wanted to bring my Bible, as I call it, for the last 4 years, the Massachusetts curriculum frameworks. This has been one of the pieces that I've referred to many, many times in the last 4 years as we've been working on aligning the Common Core. It has definitely been a juggling act, a struggle, trying to move things around, adjusting curriculum to address the new frameworks. And the Common Core standards, for the most part, are the Massachusetts frameworks. There's a few little things, what I found in my 8th grade curriculum, a few little things that are added in addition to the Common Core standards. So that's one of the things I feel for my students. I have a lot of empathy for my students right now. That's one thing that we're still working on trying to play catch up and get them up to the standard of expectation. The second thing that PARCC has faced us with is the different types of questions. There are open response questions. Our students have practiced open response questions many times on paper pencil. There are also multiply correct answers. That's a new concept. And definitely much, much more rigor involved in the test. The different format of the test has also been a struggle for our kids. We've worked on trying to get them into the computer lab, trying to practice, doing the practice tests. But it is a whole host of tools that they have to have in order to just negotiate the test. And so those are the three things that I think my 8th grade students have faced, especially this year as we're looking at the PARCC. The technology, our district has been, we're not one of the leading technology districts. We had enough computers, Chromebooks in our school to handle 1/6 of our population taking the test at one time. So basically what happened when we took the mid-year assessment is we pretty much shut down any technology in the building for 3 weeks. So if it wasn't my grade level 8 testing week, we didn't have access to computers and technology use. We've talked about the difference, the timing of the mid-year assessment and the end-of-the-year assessment. One of the stats was that we're supposed to be through approximately 90% of our curriculum when we finish the test. Well, we're taking the test next week, and I've still got about 20% of my school year ahead of me. So there are some concerns. I think it's a quality test. I think the rigor is something definitely to strive for, but we need some time. We need time to continue to train and get those kids in on the technology. And a consideration, are all districts going to be able to handle the technology?
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Bill Wilt from Waltham.
I think Bill, you have to lean in. You can pick it up if you want.
How's this?
That's good.
So I'm Bill Wilt, WILT from Waltham. I got my 3 degrees in the state next door, New York, and an OJT, BFC degree in ballistic weapons of mass destruction in Vietnam. And I want to address what I take to be a signal failure in content in Massachusetts and other schools, and that is knowledge of the Constitution. I have formed a little group called the Preamble Project, whose goal is to convince educators that we should each morning in school recite the preamble to the United States Constitution, to have civic bodies whenever they start their business that they do the same, and have that replace sadly our homegrown so-called Pledge of Allegiance, which was created as essentially a magazine subscription gimmick in what was it, I think 1892, when Columbus sailed the ocean blue. And as a way of demonstrating this lack of understanding the Constitution, I suppose every one of you on the panel could serve as a test demonstration, and that if I were to wager that none of you could recite the preamble, would I lose my wager? Can any of you recite the preamble?
No.
What?
We could get started.
You could get started. I know there's that we part.
But the fumbling would use all of your time.
It's only 54 words. It's really amazing. But that's the point I wish to make, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. I would just say as an aside, although it's not on point necessarily of this hearing, but my colleague, the assistant chairman, had to leave at this point, but he is working on the question of civics, which is broader than the Constitution, but the challenge of civics in our schools, which is something that concerns the board. And so if you have more thoughts or would like to do follow-up, I would recommend that you approach David or email David Roach, because it's an issue we're concerned about, and he's been tasked with working on that very directly.
Likewise, the Student Advisory Council of the State's SAC is taking that as their primary mission for the next year, is for increased student civic engagement throughout the state of Massachusetts.
That is very heartening. Thanks.
You're welcome. But please don't let us off the hook, or if you have thoughts or want to be involved, please do, because it's a very, very important issue.
I don't want this to be part of my 3 minutes, but pre-standardized testing, we recited that every morning, and I could recite that for you right now if you want. But anyways, okay, good, I can.
Then we make you our proxy.
But yeah. Thank you for this opportunity. I am a 4th grade teacher.
And are you Mary or can you?
Mary Cleary.
Thank you.
I'm a 4th grade teacher. And public discourse...
In what town?
I'm Worcester.
Thank you.
Bronco Junior High, preamble to the Constitution. Public discourse about the national standards in the PARCC tends to be generic across the K-12 spectrum, which I don't think allows a view toward how PARCC is affecting real 4th graders. And this test is developmentally inappropriate and therefore invalid. My only reference to prepare my students for the test drive this year was the online grade 4 sample test. PARCC assures us, quote, the sample items have undergone PARCC's rigorous review process to ensure quality and demonstrate the content that will be on the assessments in 2014-15. So I was surprised to see among the reading selections, one at grade levels 5 to 8, a 6th grade level piece, one at grade 6 to 8, an excerpt from a young adult novel, and a 9th grade reading level piece. This illustrates obvious confusion among the PARCC test makers about the difference between passages suitable for instruction versus those suitable for assessment. Instructional passages can be more complex as scaffolding is provided, but assessment needs to accommodate a wide range of abilities, including students performing at grade level and below grade level. Child cognitive development theory teaches us that 4th graders think in ways that are strikingly different from adults. At this age, they are able to think logically about concrete realities, but not about abstract ideas, such as determining a theme of a literary piece. That was previously addressed in Massachusetts high school standards based on research. Now on PARCC, 4th graders get this type of question. Identify a theme in Just Like Home, and a theme in Life Doesn't Frighten Me. Write an essay that explains how the theme of the story is shown through the characters, and how the theme of the poem is shown through the speaker. Include specific details from the story and the poem to support your essay. This question illustrates the huge disconnect between policymakers, test writers, and real children. In addition, the executive functioning required to take this test far exceeds that of a typical 4th grader. Executive functioning requires using working memory. There is a linear relationship between age and working memory. On the research simulation, children must wade through 19 pages of above grade level text and questions and write an essay using information from 3 different articles. The logistical nightmare of page flipping or screen scrolling to organize such a task within a limited time frame is untenable. Furthermore, the 2-part multiple choice questions on this test require executive functioning beyond the development of a typical 4th grader. They must wade through ambiguous wording and choices for part A. Then for part B, the child has to remember the question, what their answer was, flip back and read a paragraph that might have proven their answer, and do that 4 times to get the right paragraph. And due to this part A, part B nature of the multiple choice questions, half the questions on this test are dependent upon the previous answer being correct. 70% of our children will fail this test based on the experiences of other states, more so in urban districts where I work. 70% of our children may then label themselves as failures at the age of 10. It's not too late to take back our state autonomy. It's not too late to return to common sense. It's not too late to return to an education that fosters innovation and creativity needed for a free nation. It's not too late to stop harming elementary education. Do the right thing. You have no data to support adopting PARCC, so please don't adopt it.
One question. Did you administer it on paper or
On paper, yes.
On paper, okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Camille Bernstein. I'm a teacher in Natick, and I'm speaking both as a teacher and also, I'm a high school teacher, and also as a parent. A little over a year ago, I signed up to be an educator item reviewer for the PARCC, and I traveled both to Washington, D.C. and to Colorado. I did it because I had been hearing about the test. I knew that we were in my district doing a practice, and I wanted to get some insight into the test. So I sat for a number of days. In Colorado, it was for 5 days in a small hotel room with 12 other people for 9 hours and went over items on the test for the 9-10 ELA test. A number of us would speak after and express concern about the rigor of the test. And I don't even like to use the word rigor because I thought that it was inappropriate. And when we raised issues about the ambiguity of some of the questions and some of the answers, we were met with our group leader who helped create the test. Her answer was, certainly a superficial reading of the text would yield an ambiguous sense of the answer, but we're hoping to tease out AP kids with this test. I hardly think that a test created to tease out AP kids is a test that we want to use across Massachusetts. So I'm concerned about the way the test is being used, and also when I raised concerns in a large meeting at the PARCC meeting about the time it took to administer the test, not only for teachers who teach the students who are taking the test, but also teachers who have to cover for those classes. This year, for example, and I know that this is logistical, not necessarily just the PARCC, but I did not get to see for a week my juniors because I was administering the sophomore test. And I can't imagine that those sort of logistical issues wouldn't arise as well. When I raised my concern about the time out of learning for the testing, they assured me that, the test makers assured me that it wouldn't take very long and that they actually could provide us with interim tests at the beginning and also developmental materials, which made me very concerned about their looking forward so far ahead to provide all of our curriculum for us. And I have seen the example in my own child's classroom, and I love her teacher. She's dynamic, creative, but I have spoken with her as a fellow teacher about the stress of covering so much material and the focus so much on reading and on math to the detriment of science, to the detriment of social skills, emotional skills. They only focus on things that are on the test, and each night she comes home with Pearson worksheets. It is 2015. My first graders should be working on, should not be working on Pearson worksheets at night. She should instead be playing Monopoly with me and being a banker and doing math in that way. And we had to stop playing our game to finish her worksheets.
Thank you. Barton Bruce.